Thanks, Dan. There we are. So I've just gone on my rant and nobody except me has heard it. Thanks, Stan. So I hate muting the mic. I don't know why it does it now. Never used to when I played the introduction, but it does now. Anyway, okay. I'll restart my rant. Okay. First I'll just say hello, Stan. Been enjoying your YouTube videos too, by the way. Yeah, silent rant. Yeah, it's hard to get the enthusiasm and the emotion back once you've let it out, Stan. But to put it quietly, oh my God, now I have to edit out that whole. How many minutes? Oh. Best part of 6 minutes. Okay. I've had an ear infection, so I haven't wanted to put the headphones on, so that's why I have not been on much and missed last week. Last Monday, where I wait for my bus, I look across the busy road at a substation which has a large area of space at the front of it. The electrical installation at the back. And this is along a busy road and in between two lots of strip shops. And there were 7 mature eucalypts, mostly the red box. And I think, I better check that. I think it's Eucalyptus polyanthemus. I think that was right. Let me just look. See if my memory is all right. Yeah, Eucalyptus polyanthemus, red box. Beautiful reddish, sort of shiny, shimmery trunks. Nice open habit, crowns, beautiful. A really nice sort of large mallee style, or yeah, it's kind of a mallee style, but it's usually not multi-stemmed. Anyway, lovely trees, 7 of them. Thanks, Glenn, for the Facebook like. So, anyway, they've all been removed. 3 crews, stump grinder. Can't understand. I don't know why they've been removed. I've contacted the council. It's not council land, but I just thought they might know what was going on. Contacted the electrical company, local, the one that's nominally in charge of this area. No reply. No contact numbers or anything on the apart from if there was a fire or something, a safety concern on the property. So I don't know why they've been removed. But the thing that got me most angry was where the noisy miners hung around, but also the local red rump parrots. That was an important spot for them. I wasn't able to see whether I've never located any hollows there, so I don't think they were breeding there, but it's certainly where I could count on seeing the small flock that is around here, and they often fed on the verge, on the space between that property and the busy road where there's a large verge. Anyway, as soon as all the trees were down, I saw the noisy miners. That was their place. They've moved. And I saw them chase away the little wattlebird that had established dominion over, or the pair of little wattlebird, over the garden across the road, which is where there's a really nice Banksia integrifolia, a nice Callistemon citrinus, and on the nature strip, a Hakea lorena. Little waterbird's gone now. I don't know where they've gone. I don't know where they'll find somewhere in the neighbourhood that isn't already taken over by red wattle birds. So maybe the joys that I used to get from that different call of the little wattle bird in the area, I think that's gone. I noticed the New Holland honeyeaters and the white plumed honeyeaters are still around. But the point I really wanted to make before Stan let me know that I was on mute is that in the urban environment that we live in now, every mature tree is important. I know I've mentioned to the bird emergency audience before is that in my street, the mature trees are just disappearing. There's very few of them left, apart from in the park. And this week, another one, another mature eucalypt was taken down at the back end of one of the blocks. That was recently sold. So they've taken all the trees from the front down. Now they've taken the only mature tree that is visible from the street, from the back of the property. Now that obviously to me indicates that the 3-bedroom sort of standard fare 1970s 80s house that is on that plot is about to be razed to the ground, and another set of townhouses go up on it, which I'm okay with that development, increasing the density of people living on the already cleared blocks. I'm okay with that, but there really needs to be an effort to build around and retain mature trees. I know I've said 1,000 times before on various shows is that we've lost the understory, which is why around here there's no fairy wrens. There's no. I very rarely see thornbills here. We occasionally still have pardalotes. But how are the pardalotes going to utilise the public space when there's no mature trees in the non-public spaces for them to move around? Anyway, a mixture of anger and disappointment and sadness over the week. And every time I go out there, I just see it and I think, wow, where do we go to from here? So, throw open comments and questions. I just want to implore people that when they are visiting the garden centre, the nursery, the Bunnings, wherever they purchase plants, please, if you're doing some and you've got a space to fill, consider that if you want to put a shrub in, consider that behind it you could put a tree. And okay, maybe you don't want to make it a big tree. Maybe you don't want to make it a eucalypt because you're worried about branch drop or any of these issues, which are valid things to consider. Consider a banksia. Consider a wattle. Just consider something because we need them. We need them. So I would like to invite you to make a comment, ask a question, because that's what the Saturday morning live shows are for, questions and answers. It doesn't have to be on trunks and trees, although that would make me happy. Trunks and trees would be great. Maybe you can tell me about trees at your place. Now, Stan, I know you're here because you've jumped in. Thank you. I know most of your trees are mallees, but Stan, do you have any big trees at your place or in your neighbourhood? And I mean, maybe twice the height of a house. A sort of a limit on it. That's when I start to think of a big tree. So what are we looking? We're looking 10 metres, 12 metres plus. So it felt much better when I did the rant that was on silent. So I'll just sort of wait. I'm not. I'm feeling quite washed out about this because I've been searching in the last few weeks to find positive things to talk about, and I'm really. Thanks, Stan. Stan's put in a comment here. Sad story, yes. I take heart from the rewilding videos say at Chernobyl where all the trees and nature come back. Maybe Dutton's plans are not that bad. I have 5 or 6 10-metre plus gums. Okay, tell us what you, if you know, tell us what your gums are. Well, maybe the Chernobyl thing is a small. It's a small thing to feel happy about, but the problem is that while something is happening at Chernobyl in an area where people don't live, by the way, so where there's no people, that nature does come back. So the only way we give nature a chance is to eliminate people? I don't know. I mean, that might be obvious, but what I get so frustrated about is that there doesn't seem to be... I mean, governments should be where they are leading this, you know. Federal, state and local governments should be trying to retain the vegetation that we have, whether it be wild vegetation or whether it be the vegetation that we have in cities. But our planning mechanisms don't recognise sort of trees unless they're of historical significance. Now, the tree that your grandpa planted in your backyard, and there's so few trees now that I'm not even talking about indigenous remnant trees. I'm not even talking about native species. I'm even talking about non-native, exclusively ornamental trees. These trees are now so valuable because there are so few trees left in suburbs like mine. And I understand that there are the wealthy suburbs that are having their heritage values maintained, where someone who lives in Hawthorne, perhaps South Yarra, perhaps Toorak in Melbourne, perhaps Vaucluse in Sydney, or Wahroonga in Sydney, or perhaps The Gap or Indooroopilly in Brisbane. Actually, I must say, I noticed so much. I think I made this comment when I was when I met Dr. Nick and we went owl spotting. But I think when I met Dr. Nick, I think I said to him while we were driving around how different it is in Brisbane, that there are still lots of trees. Not large shrubs in the streetscapes, but there were trees everywhere, lots of trees. It's just not the case here, where I live, on my side of town. And it's really worrying because as we have the sprawl and the redevelopment, as apartments and townhouses are replacing the single houses on blocks, they're just razing all the vegetation to the ground. And I don't think people are going to really Well, I don't think there's going to be any action taken until it's too late. So I'll be reaching out to a number of councils to talk about this and to see if anyone is even interested in coming on and having a discussion about it. I suspect they won't, because it's a hard issue, and people don't want to even consider that they can't do whatever they like on their own property. I don't know how to get past that, because it's such short-termism. And even things like the benefit that you get from having shading on your property, it's probably cost positive in that, depending on the size of the tree. If you don't have to run your air conditioner so hot or so often. Stan says he's not 100% sure. He's got a couple of ironbark types. So the black, that's right. You've got some eucalyptus sideroxylon, I think. I'm not sure what colour flowers you've got, whether you've got the pink, the yellow, or the white. 3 blue gum types, okay, and a very big sprawling mallee. Also, lots of pittosporums. You've got lots of pittosporums. That's interesting. Honeysuckle vines. Okay. Honeysuckle vines, as in real honeysuckle. What is it? It's not Lanicera, is it? Can't remember. Anyway. Sounds pretty good. Pittosporums. Yeah. They've really gone out of fashion because of their sticky seeds, I think. But excellent shade trees, pittosporums. Are they the shiny native pittosperum, or are they the variegated sort of greeny grey New Zealandy pittosperums? I understand. All right, well, yeah. Shadow's a bit... We've got a new dog somewhere next door, I think, and Shadow's been barking all week. You can probably hear him. For those who wondering, Loz is fine. Loz is out in his palatial enclosure out there. I didn't want to bring him in today because I haven't got my Loz sheet on the wall that protects the wall from lorikeet poo. I'll hang it up again maybe for Monday. Yeah. I'll make another comment too. This is probably more for the kind of Monday kind of discussion that I would normally have on the bird emergency. But I watched the UK election coverage where the Tories were thrown out, and I'm pretty happy about that because of the state of the rivers and their whole contracting and public ownership of private ownership of public utilities or public assets, management of rivers and stuff has just been disastrous for water quality, the quality of the rivers, etc. But I didn't hear in the discussions about future plans, or I didn't hear anything about nature or climate. And I was watching a lot. I watched a lot. I watched different networks. I watched a lot. It's disappointing how far from front of mind these issues seem to be in mainstream politics. And that's got me quite... I'm finding it very difficult to find positive things locally. All the positive things are so tiny. It's like a little group doing a little bit here while we're continuing to do the mass destruction. Anyway, Okay, Stan's telling me about pittosporums. They're the standard green leaf ones. They must be taller than 5 metres and heaps of birds nest in them. Yeah, the mallee is flowering and Loz's cousins are visiting, which is nice. And Labor is right wing light. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm talking about because you didn't put a U in Labor. Here's Stan. I'm assuming you're talking about Australian Labor, and yeah, I would agree with that. In the UK, Labor still has its U in their spelling, the Labor Party, and I think they did a very light touch campaign. Don't announce anything scary, just get the votes. Um, and I think that's the approach that the ALP Labor here is sort of taking. Don't do anything scary, but you got to do some things. And yeah, you got to do some things. Oh, kudos. I don't know if any of you noticed that the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary in Brisbane has stopped the practice that I have railed against for as long as the bird emergency has been going. They are now not letting people cuddle a koala and have a photo taken. You are now not cuddling koalas. Good idea. I know many of you will have heard me say that that's not an encounter with nature. Cuddling a koala in a zoo, that's not nature. Anyway, kudos to them, and hopefully they said there's going to be a more sort of immersive and educative approach taken. So if anyone's going to Lone Pine in Brisbane in the near future, let me know. Tell me, and if you've been before, tell me how it's changed. I'd love to hear that. It seems like a moving in the right direction. Folks, I'm going to be spending tomorrow working on a list. I'm working on my top 100 plants, and I'm trying to make it regional. I said I would, and it's not too far away, and we can talk about that when I make it public, and I will pop it on thebirdemergency.com as well as the Buy Me a Coffee, and you won't have to buy me a coffee to get it. And I've been working on the offering on the Patreon, and I'm not really sure how to do like the gardening and bird emergency on the Patreon because, yeah, I don't want to put a whole lot of time in. I don't want to take time away from doing interviews and things. But I would really like to do something that was more just us, just the gang. It's really fallen off since I went away, obviously. So I want to rebuild it and build it back to the amount of fun and information that we were having before. So I want to get back to that because it's been feeling like a grind. Am I allowed to say that? It's been feeling like a grind. And I'm really looking for some good news. The New Zealand Garden Bird Survey is going on. This is the last weekend for it. So I hope we'll be able to talk about New Zealand gardens in the next little while. I know I've mentioned to you before I want to talk more about, well, I've certainly the bird emergency folks. I've been talking about, other sort of citizen science, bird/garden projects around the world. And I've been following it up. It's just really difficult to find people who are available for interviews. So I'll just keep going on that. So, folks, unless there's some questions, some gardening questions, I want to put my ranting away for the day. And God, can you see how stressed I've been? Look, I've got these little stress things coming up. It's been very, very, very stressful, worrying about the world. There's been a fair bit of new research out that I want to follow up on plastics and seabirds and fisheries and a lot. So we'll be moving into that. But today's gardening day. Gardening questions. Anyone? Shadow's impatient. You can probably hear Shadow out there. He's impatient. Where's your gardening questions? I want a gardening question. Let me see. Hello. Facebook, YouTube, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening to you on Twitch, wherever you may be. I actually was looking on Twitch earlier last week, looking to see who's doing gardening shows on Twitch, and I didn't find any come up. Twitch. I have to say too. I did a little test trying to do a watch along with the Giants, and I don't know why, but I was having real issues streaming and watching at the same time. But it appears that is now sorted. I don't know whether we just had a issue with the internet in this, with the cable in this location when I was trying to test it. But anyway, it seems to have worked. So, can you hear Loz? He's telling me something. He's not happy about something. So we will be doing that. I've also picked out some other things to watch along and to talk about some more Tasmanian tiger garbage going on. So we'll talk about that. Folks, I'm just waiting for questions. Maybe questions are drying up. I don't know. I'll just wait. I'll put some music on while we wait, so you don't have to listen to Shadow. What do we put on? We put Feeding the Ducks on again. Yeah. I guess I can ask you all, are you noticing in your area, wherever you live, wherever it is, are you noticing that the mature trees are being eradicated and being replaced by either open space or buildings? Let me know. Oh, and Glenn, hello. I hope you're in the Botanic Gardens today. Actually, are you copping rain in Sydney? We're just copping clear but cold weather here in Melbourne. The unceded lands of the Wurundjeri people, I should add, Melbourne. But I think further up the coast, getting some very wet weather. We're just getting clear and cold weather, very cold. The other morning it was, it got to 0. I think it got to -1 the other morning at my place, but apparently it felt like -3, and yes, it was cold. Felt cold. Yeah. All right, folks, I'm not just going to waffle on. If there's no questions, I'll go and utilise my time constructively, working on some more interesting things to do next week. want to ask you a question too, and I am. Oh, we'll just do the comment. What's happening on the comment? Glenn says, yes, out in the gardens today, been raining on and off the last few days. What kind of totals have you had, Glenn? Like, is it turning the low-lying places in the suburbs, or the playing fields, have they been turned into mush in the neighbourhood? Because the sort of, weather reports we've been getting down here is that the East Coast was going to get amazing amounts of rain because of this incredibly large and powerful high pressure system which is sitting over the continent. So yeah, let us know. Now, folks, I've been considering doing on a different channel, but doing a bit of a politics/society regular rant, so that I can not rant so often in the bird emergency. Anyone think that deserves a thumbs up? Let us know. Stan, thanks. Stan's garden is all good just as it is. I love it when that happens. I hope it never changes. Now, Stan, I don't think gardens being full of living organisms, it will change. It will change, but hopefully not drastically. Can I place a conservation easement on it or donate it to a council as a park? Now, that one, Stan. Stan, do me a favour. Send me an email with that question and perhaps what you would be prepared to do, like in a practical sense. What would you like to do with your place? And I'll see if I can get someone in a lawyer in South Australia to tell me what the options are for that kind of situation, because I know you can put a conservation covenant on bushland, but I'm not sure what is available in an urban setting and what the potentialities are if you want to sell it or pass it on. You could certainly gift it to the council, but whether it would have to be maintained as a park, I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues that come about. So, Stan, just send me an email with what you would be, how you would envisage it being, like, for your life, and like what. You don't have to tell me whether you've got a big mortgage or anything on it like that, but I mean, all these things, doing something like that, if you do have a mortgage, it may actually breach the terms of your loan. So, very interesting thing to look at as a broader issue. And I think every state would be different about what the limits you could place on it if you were to be offering it up for sale at any time. So, yeah, really good. Now, what's Glenn? Thank you, Glenn, for your input. The tree clearing, not much in my area, but around Bankstown area, houses are knocked down, duplexes put up, and all the trees gone. That's exactly the case here. And either concrete yards or small patches of lawn. Yeah, plastic lawn. My goodness, that's happening here too. Plastic nature strip lawn. Bird life all disappears. Yeah, that's certainly what's happening here. The rainfall, nothing serious, only 5 to 8 mil, but being consistent as I walk around the woodland here. Creeks are flowing. The ground has water laying around, so very wet underfoot. a lot of playing fields are closed in the areas. Yeah, so you've had steady and consistent rain. Yeah, okay. And Stan, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I'll chase it up. I'll try and make some content out of it, Stan, but get something useful for you. And perhaps if I can get a solicitor on and we can work out what the parameters of what you want to do, because if you put some kind of limitation on an urban block, uh, certainly, yeah, it's going to impinge if you ever need to sell. And if you don't need to sell and you want to gift it to the council, I don't know what you can compel the council to do. They may be happy to take the land, and then they might decide they need somewhere to put a childcare centre or a health centre or something on it, or they might decide that they need a BMX track. So it might be called a park, right? But it might not be the park that you envisage. Interesting. Thanks, Stan. That's needed that this morning. Something to actually think about it. Something new to consider that could be positive. Good on you. That's great. Obviously, the trick would be, Stan, that you would have to put some kind of restriction on that. A certain percentage of it must be covered in vegetation or something. I don't know. I don't know what's positive, and I'm assuming all the states have slightly different ways of handling these kind of things like covenants, and so yeah. Let's look into that. But if you email me, it will go on my to-do list, my starred list, and I'll get around to it. Yeah, really, really, really cool. Anyone been doing any propagation? Anyone seen any interesting birds in their garden recently? I don't know. I wouldn't have mentioned this to you because I wasn't on last week. But when I went out to the supermarket last weekend, I can't remember which day, a whole pile of, I think I counted 28 pied currawongs had invaded the town area, like the park that adjoins the supermarket car park. And there's we've now got a cultural centre there, but in the trees and the little playground and everything that fringes these car parks, pied currawongs turned up, and they gave the little ravens and the magpies that are generally in that area, they gave them hell. They chased them around, bullied them. There were enough of them to make life really hard for the group of little ravens. But they're only here for a day and then gone. So are people seeing altitudinal migrants moving through? I only saw a couple of silver eyes this year. There we are. Only half an acre on a residential street in the middle of the town. Yeah, Stan, I think it's really, 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 really interesting. Really, really interesting. We'll chase that one down. I like that. I like that idea. Boy, well, I didn't think we'd be actually getting. Didn't think I'd have this much to say today. I was so grumpy about the trees getting cut down, particularly when I can't see that there's going to be any other development in the area unless they are expanding the substation, which I don't know if they are. Maybe they are. We'll see. And I'm not sure this would be the kind of location where they would put batteries in. Big enough space to put a big battery, that'd be nice. But I'm pretty sure that's not happening. But let's wait and see. Pretty sure they're not putting a wind turbine up there. So that would be that'd be cool. Glenn, thank you. A bird report. Regular group of little wattle birds now visit. Is that your place? You've got little wattle birds coming in. That's good. Family of satin bowerbirds. Oh, I had a dream last night with a female satin bowerbird in it. Anyway, thank you for reminding me. Noisy miners, pair of rock doves come for the water each day. There's an increasing amount of rock doves turning up here too, by the way. I seem to have made their homes under everyone's solar panels in the area. That's interesting. And Glenn just confirming, yes, his backyard. Okay, I'll tell you what I did see at the bus stop the other day. I did think I must tell you about this. I think I was trying to look this up and I couldn't remember which one of the which ones of the raptors did this, but I think it's the Hobby does this. I found a crested pigeon next to the bus stop, like next to the bus shelter, that had been plucked, decapitated, and all of the internal organs pulled out and devoured, but not all of the juicy, succulent meat. The wings had been ripped off and discarded, but the breast meat hadn't been devoured. Just the organs internally, and the head had been ripped off, and I couldn't find the head. And I had read somewhere, I think, that hobbies frequently do it. But maybe goshawks or sparrowhawks do it. I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. Isn't that what we say? In the comments down below. Obviously, when this is up later. Oh, that's the other thing too. I'm going to be putting all of the Habitat Gardening videos up on Habitat Gardening channel on YouTube. And over time, I think I've said this before, but I just haven't got around to doing the artwork and all the descriptions and everything for the other channel. But that's where we will start. I'll start streaming to both, and then I'll just generally take the... but I won't be uploading the videos to the Bird Emergency. They'll all go onto the Habitat Gardening. So, yes. Interesting that you think the rock doves are making... what are they, nesting under the solar panels in the area, Glenn? That's an interesting thing. I always thought that might be something that starlings and house sparrows would start to do. And with the subsequent fire risk that goes with that, especially with sparrows, can make these massive dry grass domes. Stan says he's sure he's not the only one. Yeah, I would agree. Someone should start a conservation organisation that takes on people's urban land and inheritance and manages for habitat. Somebody should do that. Stan, that's a good question too, maybe for a solicitor. What would need to be done? What kind of structure would such an organisation need to have to coordinate that? I like the idea. Let's star that so that I can find it again. Stan, please amend that message. Put it in the email that you're going to send me so that I asked the question. Let's follow that up. I really like that idea. I do like the idea that people can, if they haven't got someone to pass on, if it's a distant fourth cousin or something that would inherit the land when they pass on, instead of donating it to the RSPCA or the zoo or whatever, maybe I like the idea that there could be space for an organisation that manages urban land for ecological value. Because when you say in managers for habitat, in some places that would be really important, but in some places, depending on what is around you, perhaps an urban garden might be even a better use. So yeah, Glenn's made the point here that Bush Heritage may be the one to look after the land, but I'm not sure that Bush Heritage would want to be looking after 30, 40, 50, 70 urban blocks in urban areas where there is no real conservation value in the accepted sense. But there is a value, there's an amenity value for the people nearby. So, yeah, that's a really good point, Glenn. And I mean, I initially thought of Bush Heritage or Land for Wildlife, Trust for Nature, all those kind of organisations. But they have a specific conservation value of the land that they want. Because, of course, there's costs in managing land. I think making it more a community asset is probably something that could make it, well, you might be able to have a partnership with the council or something. But maybe the council would just want the land. But then how do you... this is where we need to talk to a solicitor, and it's probably different in each state. If you donate land to a council, can you constrain them in what they do with it? Because if you are constraining a council, they might say, we don't want the land. That's just a hassle for us. So, Stan's idea of maybe another organisation, but then it's got to be able to fund itself. Really interesting idea. I'm sure it's been thought of before, so maybe digging into it, we'll find some more answers. I mean, I do know that there are community groups, that set up for gardens and things like that based on one plot of land, but this could be in like a national thing. Yeah, really interesting idea. Maybe it already exists, but I haven't heard of it in that kind of format. Certainly I've heard of it more in what Glenn has mentioned, Bush Heritage or Land for Wildlife, Trust for Nature, those kind of bodies. But I think this is a little bit different if it's, individual urban block that may have no habitat value in the sense that we normally talk about, in a conservation value for remnant vegetation or something like that. So I'm just thinking now, green space is so important, but particularly mature trees, and probably large shrubs in the same vein. They're just disappearing everywhere. Anyway, so yes, I'll chase that up, put that on my list, and I've got so many people to chase up for interviews. I've been having a really hard time. I think I mentioned before, a hard time finding people who have been available to come on in recent times. So when I can't have a nice discussion with a bird nerd or a plant nerd regularly, it makes it a lot more work. And I don't want the podcast about birds to ever feel like work. Yeah. Oh, Shadow's upset. I have to take him for a walk or something, I think. Okay, folks, I think that's where I'm going to jump off the Habitat Gardening train today. Thanks, Glenn, Stan, for your input. I think I'll have to start putting out early. I've been really slack with this. I have to get out early and start putting out the topics I want to talk about, and then see if we get some questions back. If you got a suggestion for a topic when it comes to gardening that you would like me to cover, I'll do that. I might work on that. Yeah. I need to go and buy something with some sugar in it or something and get some enthusiasm today, I think. Yeah. Let me just see. Where is everyone again today? I got a million people apparently on Twitter again, but I just don't believe it because no one from Twitter ever joins in. Someone that I watch regularly, I watch their live stream regularly, was saying, "Oh, look, we've got 300 people on Twitter, but no engagement." So, yeah. So it just makes me think it's Elon's bots trying to make himself feel good. Oh, look at all the engagement we get. Stan, did you see the articles today about how people can't sell their Teslas? And that they've spent, I think someone had spent $97,000 on a Tesla, and now they can't offload it. I don't know which model Tesla it must have been or how optioned up it might have been or something, but yeah, saw that come up in my news feed today. All right, folks, it's been great. I'm got to get back in the saddle. I've had basically 10 days or something where I hadn't put the headphones on trying to look after these ears, but they seem to be fine now, so not so leaky or whatever they say. So we'll get back into the swing of it this week, and yeah. Happy gardening, folks. Head off to your local garden centre or get on the internet and find something to order by mail, and yeah, do something positive. Dig a hole, put a plant in it. That'd be cool. Thanks, Len. Thanks, Stan. Thanks, bird nerds. Thanks, gardeners. See you next week, 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Habitat Gardening. See ya.